from the UK, and Mr. Ali Raza Syed, Chairman of Kashmir-EU. First, I give the floor to the Prime Minister.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Shafiq Ahmed Saab, MEP, Sayyid Ali Raza Shah Saab, Chairman, Kashmir Council, and journalist over here. That I have come from a place called Azad Kashmir, the liberated part of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. We have elected president there, elected prime minister. We have our own Supreme Court and High Court, legislative assembly, bureaucracy, proper government setup in AJK, not like what has been done to the other side of the state of Jammu and Kashmir under the Indian control. I'm not going in the history that on 5th of August, the Indian government revoked the Article 370 of the Indian Constitution and 35A. As far as this 370 is concerned, it's not important to the people of Jammu and Kashmir because it doesn't have any provisions for granting them the right of self-determination. It's only arrangement between the Kashmiri leadership of that time and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru for a face saving of the at that time the Kashmiri leadership. As far as 35 is concerned, it concerns us because this was incorporated in the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir in 1927 by the ruler of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It was on the request of Muslims, it was on the request of the Hindu population because they feared that migration from India will hurt them, they will get government jobs and they will buy the lands of Kashmir and the poor people of Kashmir will be turned into second-rate citizens. So we incorporated that article in the Constitution of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Because we are concerned is that this guaranteed the demographic position of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. By abrogating this 35A, the demography of the state will be altered and it's against the UN resolutions. As far as this constitutional development is concerned in the subcontinent, areas were given more to powers. They were not relegated. Jammu and Kashmir was a state before 5th of August. They had their legislative assembly, a governor also and a chief minister also. It's a 200-year-old state. Now it has been divided into two parts, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. And in Ladakh, India has also managed to have this ethnic issues there between the Buddhists and the Muslims also there, because the one section wants to live with the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the other one by the provocation of the Indians, they want to have another state. But as far as this arrangement is concerned, the Lieutenant Governor, presently, he is the Chief Executive, he has legislative powers, and after that, when this assembly will be elected, the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, which is direct under Delhi rule, it's a union territory, not a state. There were 7 union territories, now there are 9, and there were 29 states. Now Kashmir has been, they reduced the number, and now there are 28 states in the Indian Union. So I'm going to say they have divided this parts, and it's a clear violation of the UN resolutions, especially the resolution of 122 in 1957. At that time, the Security Council had told India that they cannot have any changes in the state, and only the final disposition will be dealt with according to the wishes of the people. About 3 months have been passed, and J&K, the Indian occupied Kashmir, has rest of the world. Even with India, there are no telephones, no mobile service, no internet, no media access. No outsider has access. Even the members of the Indian Parliament were not allowed to go to J&K to see the ground situation there. The people are having short of medicine, food supplies, and especially no access to the hospital because of the security arrangements are concerned. People feel there are great difficulties in moving towards the hospital. There are shortage of food there also. And during these, especially after 5th of August, there were extrajudicial killings, women harassment, and about arrest of young men aged from 12 to 28, about 14,000 have been arrested and they've been flown out in the Indian jails. They are not in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They have been moved out of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now they are languishing in the jails in India. And in Kupwara district, 17 people were killed in one day after this 5th of August. Hand-picked civilian servants who served under Mr. Modi as the Chief Minister of Gujarat have been appointed as the Lieutenant Governors of the 2 parts of the Union Territory. All constitutional arrangements, administrative powers delegated to these chiefs. If an assembly passes a law, the Lieutenant Governor has right to undo that law. I would say this is something very embarrassing for those 100 men who will be elected by the people of that part. There is no director. The world has I would say, to direct the world attention to IOK, India has been the Indian government, what is doing these times to change the perception of the happenings in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. I would say the Indian army is bombarding with heavy weapons on the line of control, across the line of control, in pretext of destroying the terrorist camps and the so-called launching pads from our area. They have targeted schools, colleges, hospitals, and even civilian properties. Only in district Neelam in Azad Kashmir, which is in the north of this free land, about 20,000 people have migrated from that place to Muzaffarabad city and some other places to take refuge. This has increased the economic stress of the government of AJK, and the economic activity of J&K has been paralyzed. So I want to say these are the salient features which I wanted to brief you in this press conference. I am ready for any questions if you can ask me.
Thank you, Prime Minister, but before I give you the possibility to ask questions, I give the floor to Shafak Mohammed.
I'm going to be very brief. I think the position in Kashmir could not be much starker. You've got to the right of me, elected representative voted for by the people of one part of Kashmir, and then you've got another situation where past and present chief ministers of another section of Kashmir are currently either in prison or in house arrest. That's not me saying it, that's the realities on the ground. If there wasn't the case, I would happily have representatives from the Indian state of side of Jammu Kashmir sat on the left-hand side of me. But the reality is they can't even leave their own houses, let alone come to the European Parliament here in Brussels. And that's the harsh realities of what's happening at the moment. That for nearly 100 days now, we're on the 5th of November, it was 5th of August, and that's not something that we, I think, in Europe should be tolerating, a complete blackout. I would like to travel to that region, just so that I can walk out to this Parliament and actually, as I say, meet real people from Brussels. I can talk to them about what they think about the European Parliament, what they think about their government, what they think about society in general. I think as parliamentarians we should have the same opportunities to do that. And then we can actually find out whether the people in the Indian side of Kashmir are actually celebrating the revoking of Article 370, the women that supposedly have been liberated. You know, let's actually hear from them rather than being told by the government that all's brilliant, this is absolutely fantastic news, etc. Because actually, the realities are, it's not. 8 million people have been under curfews. All political leaderships have been detained, whether you were a separatist or actually a loyalist in terms of serving alongside Mr Modi's party in government. That's the realities of it. And I, for Europe, and particularly from the country I come from, the United Kingdom, we thought we could actually share some experiences with them and some mistakes that we've made in the past, and say to both Indian side in particular, that learn from our mistakes. From the country I come from, Northern Ireland was a huge issue. And for years, we had lots and lots of similar problems. You know, they call it Public Safety Act, where they lock people up. We used to call it internment, where we just locked people up without charge. We also had a use shoot to kill policy, whether the official government ever accepted it. You know, we had a lot of similarities where two people, you know, similar, same group of people divided by a boundary wall and etc. That's come down, and then it's ironic that this week when we're celebrating the Berlin Wall coming down, there is another wall a few thousand miles away called the line of control that's also separating two people. And I think whilst we can celebrate what's going to be happening in Berlin and in Germany, we all also need to be more resolute to say, actually we need to fight for the rights of another group of people to come together, because they've been apart for 70 years, and it's not right and proper that families, when they have weddings, have to shout at each other across a river and celebrate their grandchildren getting married because they cannot come across that border. And I think Europe has a real opportunity to be a force for good in the world. It can use its economic might, and it can actually say to both countries, particularly India, if you want to trade with us, then you're going to have to live up to European values, of which respecting international law, which includes UN obligations, but also human rights, is central. And I don't think we as a union should compromise on that one jot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. And now I ask Mr. Haider Sayed to say some words.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank to Mr. Shafaq Mohammed, His Excellency Prime Minister. You know, today is the anniversary of fall of Berlin Wall. It was today, 2 days ago. So, if Berlin Wall, which nobody even imagined that one day the Berlin Wall will come down, and the same, the people of Kashmir, they are hoping for the control line or ceasefire line which divides the families of both sides of Kashmir, to one day it will come down as well. And our objective is that the international community, the people of Kashmir, they are looking towards the people of Europe and the free world, that it's 93 days today that the people of Kashmir, they are present, they cannot talk to the families, their loved ones outside Kashmir. They don't have the medicine at this stage, the life-saving medicines are in shortage, the foods, and the babies, they are not getting the milk. So we are asking that if, as the Modi government says that everything is normal there, but if everything is normal, why they are not letting the people come out or come in? The Indian parliamentarians, they are asking to visit, they were refused, the intellectual and the students, all they are asking to visit Kashmir. But there were 3 groups who went to Kashmir, and if you can see their reports, they said that it is not normal, and the people are in fear, and they are not coming out. Even they mentioned that some people, they died and their family buried them in their homes. So our request is to the international community and to the European Union especially, that please come forward and help the people of Kashmir. They are looking towards the free world, and this genocide of the people of Kashmir should stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now the floor is yours. If you ask a question, just tell your name and media and to whom you would like to point your questions. So raise your hands.
my question?
There is the mic over here.
Yes.
No, it's
Oh, there's a mic in front of you.
Oh.
Press the
Yeah,
But-
there's the,
red button and talk into it.
yeah.
This one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
press the,
button.
press the red button, yeah.
So you can, yeah, yes. Wow. Long live techniek. Yeah, I'm Ewout Klein, journalist from the Netherlands. I have a question for Mr. Mohammed. Yeah, a couple of, I think last week, some far-right European parliamentarians go to India, and they have access to Kashmir. And what do you think about that? Why won't Modi invite those far-right politicians, and do you think they hear the real story about Kashmir, or is it some kind of Potemkin village tour through Kashmir?
First of all, for me, it's increasingly worrying that the government of Kashmir can only attract far-right politicians from Europe. This place is full of plenty of fair-minded moderates. How on earth the government of India can't engage with them? I have to say, I'm the only Kashmiri ever to be elected into this office here in this parliament. Why on earth would not that country afford me the same rights to go and visit that place? And similarly, I don't know which bit of Holland you're from, but if someone from your town or city took a group of us to a little park surrounded by security forces, hand-selected a few people to engage with us, would you say that was a fair reflection of your community? I would say absolutely not. And I think that delegation, which was an unofficial delegation, has been shown to be a complete sham. It's been a complete PR disaster for the Indian government to actually, have, 22 MPs who, let's be honest, most of this parliament doesn't even engage with. They're not part of any formal grouping. They sit as independents because no one else wants to engage with them. And if that's the group of people that the Indian government and its lobbyists that exist here in Brussels and in Strasbourg can only engage with, I think it's a poor show for their point of view. But I think that should make us even more resolute in this parliament to actually continue to seek justice for the people of Kashmir. And we should keep demanding from the Indian representatives here that we should be given access formally in terms of, I'm a substitute member of the Human Rights Committee. Why can't we go? Why can't, just like those 24 MEPs went last week, why can't members of the Human Rights Committee now go? And let's see what the response is from the Indian government.
Next question. The next question, please. Yes.
Yes, Camille Sur-Gessin from Agence Europe. And you say you want help from the EU side. Can you explain which kind of help do you want?
The question for whom?
All of you.
As a branch of AJK, from a divided entity of the erstwhile state of Jammu Kashmir, I have come here to this free world to seek support of the issues. We have two issues. One is the human rights abuses in that part of Kashmir. For the last 30 years, I want to quote you a special law by the Indian authorities in the state of Jammu Kashmir, Public Safety Act, which says that anyone can be put in jail for 2 years without any trial. And there are hundreds of people who are languishing in the jails without any trial in the Indian occupied Jammu Kashmir. And the harassment of women, the rape of women, the loss of property there, the pellet wounds which resulted in a lot of young men and women also who have lost their eyesight also, the plundering of their property. I have come here to the free world. Europe has seen this Second World War, the misery of the war. And as we know that Europe stood against Hitler for this liberty, for this democracy. And we want that the people of Jammu and Kashmir should be listened by the European Union, because as the Charter of Union says, that they give more preference to the human rights than any other organization in the world today. So one thing is, the other is that the basic cause is the right of self-determination, which was promised to them by the UN Security Council in about a dozen resolutions that the people of Jammu and Kashmir will get a free chance to express their will for the future. So we want that EU should come forward and they should put pressure on India so that this issue is resolved peacefully between the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the other parties. As far as the people of Kashmir are concerned, they are the principal party. They have to decide, not India or Pakistan have to decide their future. It's not a territorial dispute. It's an issue of right of self-determination. It's not a territorial dispute between India and Pakistan. The people of Kashmir want that those guarantees which were given to them by the Security Council should be honored, and the people of Jammu and Kashmir should be allowed to express the free will so that they can choose their future with dignity and prosperity. That's the main issue. And one more thing that I want to tell that India is diverting the attention to the atrocities by the Indian forces in Kashmir by bombarding the line of control, killing innocent people. Dozens of people have been killed after 5th of August, and about what I said earlier, that 20,000 have migrated to the capital of Azad Kashmir and some other safe places. And a lot of the economic activity is at standstill in the line of control. So EU should persuade India to stop this cross-border, bombardment of the civilian people. Hospitals have been attacked, schools have been attacked, and some markets have been attacked, and the pretext that it's how terrorists can run in a market where everybody is there to see and watch what's happening there. Lot of there are some those pictures, a father and a son, about 12 years old son and his father have been killed, and their dead bodies are lying together. It's not only in one instance, there are a lot of instances like this, and women have been injured, children have been injured, their property has been damaged. So I have come here to EU to seek support for the final resolution of this dispute also, and for to persuade India to stop the human rights violation which the Indian forces are indulging in that part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Is there any more question? If not,
Well, I'm going to comment on what the EU can do. Look, we're a market of 500 million, the world's biggest market, bigger than America. Like I said earlier, we can be a force for good. You know, we have secured peace in our continent. We no longer fight with each other. If we had a disagreement, we'll argue in this chamber or upstairs. You know, we've also now started to bring in countries from the Eastern Bloc that once was seen as the enemy, but actually now we're working with them. So we've got a lot of lessons we can, kind of share with people to say our history of how we as a union here came together to deal with our differences. And we have to be critical friends of both India and Pakistan. And I say both, yeah? In the sense that wherever we think each side could do better, I'm happy to play a role in that. I was in the region just as when Article 370 was revoked. So on the 5th of August, I'd gone out, visited the area that Mr. Khan here is the Prime Minister of. I went on the 26th of July with myself and Irina Van Visa, who is the Vice Chair of the Human Rights Committee. We would both like to go to the other side now to compare and contrast the living conditions of people on the other side to see how things are. There is a report here by the UN dated the 8th of July. If members of the press have not seen it, I've got 2 copies. I accept every finding on there. And it's, I think it's stark what's written there, and it's challenging, particularly for the Indian side, in terms of what's happening. But I think we have to be, as critical friends, put up a mirror in front of the government. By the way, this is not an attack on the nation of India, it's the governments. Because there's plenty of fair-minded people in India that also are against this. And what was said earlier was that, politicians, and I mean the leader of the opposition of India, was barred. He turned up to Srinagar airport and he could not go any further. that was the reality of what's happening there. So it's not just politicians from the West like myself who are not allowed to go there or are not being allowed to go, but actually the politician from within that country itself, the leader of the opposition, potentially the Prime Minister in waiting, was also barred, turned away, alongside other cross-party politicians. That's the reality of it, and as critical friends of India, we have to call that out and say that's not what we expect from the world's biggest democracy. We expect better. If you want to have a big trade deal with us, then we're going to have to say that certain principles, European values that we're going to insist on. And having a strong opposition that functions is good for democracy. It keeps the ruling administration true. It keeps, as we say in England, it keeps their feet to the fire. A strong opposition makes for a good government. And at the moment, it's not great that the leader of the opposition cannot go and visit part of the territory they control where they've got 900,000 troops. 900,000 troops aren't there to fend off an opposition army. It's there to keep people down. And I would say you cannot govern a country or a region at the end of a barrel or a gun. You can only govern them by the consent. And that consent is always through the ballot box. And I just, it's a challenge. If people, India think that the people of Kashmir think their governance model is the best, just put it to the people, let them decide. We have elections here, don't we? In my country, we've had a referendum. We've got issues there, but hey, we've not fought, we're not arguing with each other. We've got Scotland had a referendum, the SNP lost. We've not locking up SNP politicians, are we? We're not placing Nicola Sturgeon under house arrest and locking up everything, because that's the reality of what's happened. It's like London taking its tanks and soldiers up to Edinburgh, locking up Nicola Sturgeon, but also all the unionist allies, i.e. the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats in our case, and declaring home rule and saying the people of Scotland are all happy and joyful about it, but they can't leave their homes, they've got no phone access, and they've got no internet access. Because that's the harsh realities of it, probably giving it a Western slant of what's actually happened. I see devolution as a way forward here, by the way, for that region. I think both India and Pakistan should devolve more powers. That's the way I see it going forward, because that's what we've done in Northern Ireland. We've devolved powers and we've secured peace. And with securing peace has come economic prosperity for both the island of Ireland and also Northern Ireland. And I'd love that to be the case for both sides of the line of control of Kashmir. The section that Mr. Khan is the Prime Minister of, but also the other side, which is, in my opinion, facing some pretty terrible conditions at the moment.
One more thing I want to add that I have come here to request the members of the European Parliament, the cross section of the European Parliament, that they are invited to this part of Kashmir. They will, without any interference, they can move around the Azad Kashmir. They can even visit the line of control where India is accusing us that they have launching pads and some terrorist camps. And they can freely talk to the people of Azad Kashmir. And one more thing that it's not a religious movement going in Kashmir. It's a multi-ethnic society of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. There are people who practice more than one religion. There are Muslims, there are Hindus, there are Sikhs, there are Buddhists. And India is propagating that it's a Muslim rebellion. It's not the case. As far as, for example, there were a lot of demonstrations in Jammu, which is a Hindu majority area, against the abrogation of this 35A, because they feel that the main thrust will be on the people of especially Jammu region. So what I want to say that I want to appeal to request this free world, European Union, that they should come forward and they should try to resolve this issue peacefully, and that the issue is that one, that the human rights violations should be stopped, human rights should be respected in that part, and other one is that the final disposition is the right of self-determination, which was promised to the people of Kashmir by the UN Security Council. For example, I am sitting in Brussels. Belgium was one of the non-permanent members who also supported this, these resolutions. Thank you.
I think we ran out of time. Sorry. So thank you for coming and showing interest in that suffering region. Thank you. Bye.